All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style. And today we have Miss Rochelle with us. How are you, Rochelle?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. You guys, she has some awesome jewels to share with us. And for those of you that choose to stick around to the end, you'll have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. So stick around and let's see what Miss Rochelle wants to share with us today. So Rochelle, so we get to know you a little bit better. Can you share just one motivational quote that really inspires you and encourages you?
For me, I'm sure a lot of people have heard it before. It's the beginning of the Serenity Prayer, which starts off with, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The prayer is extended and has a lot more to it, but it's essentially the beginning that gives me that motivation. I think it's the two things that a lot of people struggle with, or at least what I struggle with the most. It's when an opportunity presents yourself, you either take it or you leave it. And when you take it and it wasn't really meant for you, it's kind of about like letting go and understanding there's something better for you. And when you know that the opportunity might be there, it's taking that courage to do it. And obviously the wisdom to know the difference, because sometimes people are very persistent on things that may not be for them, or not too persistent on something that is for them. And I think that falls so.
Yeah, that is so true. And the wisdom to know the difference. That is so key. Sometimes, when I'm in a situation and I'm in this situation often because I have to make a lot of different decisions regarding business or family and, relationships, friendships, whatever. And a lot of times the wisdom part is where it's like, well, I don't know, is this a wise move or is this not a wise move? But I've learned that when things kind of flow and when there's not a lot of confusion involved, that's telling me that that's probably the better path for me. When it's a whole lot of like, oh my God, I'm so depressed, I'm so anxious, I feel so uptight, and this just can't work no matter what I'm doing. That may not always be the wisest choice. It's kind of like I'm trying to force myself into the situation. So
Exactly.
sometimes I monitor it by how I'm feeling about that particular choice. Do I feel like it's free flowing, or do I feel like it's brought a whole lot of extra confusion, obsession, and overwhelm into my life? you know?
Right. And sometimes even then it's hard to distinguish two things, because there are people who just don't have the confidence, or
Yeah.
there are people who have those demons inside of them that keep telling them like, this is too easy. This is not something, this shouldn't be coming into my life and falling into my lap this easy. When in reality, sometimes it does. And then sometimes it
Yeah.
doesn't. Sometimes it is the tougher road. And sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith and have that courage. And honestly, at the end of the day, even if you do that courage and it just falls through, that's where you'll know, like, you have to have that serenity to accept that it's not for you, and sometimes there are just better paths out there that hasn't been met yet.
Yes, thank you for saying that. I think a lot of us struggle with that. I had a situation last summer where there was an opportunity that presented itself to me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting this." And then all of a sudden, at the last minute, it fell through, and then the opportunity presented itself again later on, and then it still fell through. So I'm like, well, after I accepted the fact that it fell through before, here it comes again. I'm like, oh, maybe it is for me now. And then it fell through again. I'm like, well, whatever. That happens so regularly in my life.
It
that
happens,
I
yeah.
kind of, I kind of just roll with the punches. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Life goes on. Is
Right. And
my
the
newest
hardest thing for
philosophy.
people, yeah, the hardest thing for people is that they take things personally. And
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, life is about you in your life, but at the end of the day, the world keeps going, life keeps
yeah,
going, and there's just so many opportunities out there. Like, life is a free for all, and I feel like people forget that they're not stuck in a box. You put yourself in that box, and you have to
yes.
keep stepping out in order to get what you want.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can you talk a little bit about a time in your life where maybe you didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel and you felt like, oh my gosh, I don't think that this is going to happen for me, but you were able to persevere, and at the end of the day, you were able to see your goal or your dream to fruition?
So I think So I go through that a lot. Like, there are a lot of times where it's like, so really unsure about where this is going to go, how I'm going to take this. But I think the biggest lesson in my life that's actually got me through everything that I'm encountering now is probably getting through college. And like, hear me out. I come from a family of a Filipino family. Traditionally, my parents were seen to like supposed to be helping me pay for college and things like that. I went to University of Maryland, College Park. It's not the most affordable school. And my parents really wanted to help me go through there, and I got accepted there, and I wanted to go there. And as soon as I got there, my parents were like, yeah, we're going to help you pay for it. And keep in mind, I was surrounded by people who had parents that paid for their college. So I thought, like, okay, this is it. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to experience it, whatever, and have a great time and get a degree and get a great job, so on and so forth. When you're younger, that's like the only thinking that you have.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get to college, it's like a year passes by, I'm, focusing on school. And then my parents financially dropped me. And it was so difficult because I just signed for a house. And I mean, I was working, but I was, paying for my own place. Like, I was going to pay for my own rent, but then I expected my parents to help me with tuition. But that wasn't the case. I have a younger brother, most important person in the world to me. He went to DeMatha, which is a private high school, which is super expensive. And my parents were focusing on that. And I wanted them to, don't get me wrong. I was like, yeah, you go ahead, focus on that. I'd rather he go there than any public school in PG County. And I would just pay for myself. Not a big deal. So sophomore year, I was working full time while I was a full time student. And it was the hardest thing in my life because I was paying for rent, paying for tuition. And there were days where I couldn't afford groceries. It was a time in my life I feel like I really hit a low, where there were days where I was like kind of hungry, but it's like the last thing I want to do is run to my parents when I know they were struggling with other things. And it was a really hard time in my life. And even then, I was like trying to tell myself, like, keep working and just keep going to school. Like, my grades were suffering, even though like I knew it was because I was working too much, but I needed to work to pay for school. It was
Right.
just a bad thing. And I remember my boyfriend at the time, my ex, his family would donate like canned food to me. And it was just the saddest thing in my life. And it was just so hard because I feel like I felt like I was robbed of my experience. And I mean, it sounds bratty now that I think back to it, but I mean, I was young. I was surrounded again by friends that had parents who paid for their tuition and who didn't have to work. And if they worked, it was for their side money. It wasn't to survive. And I take pride in it now. I take a lot of pride in being able to put myself through college and being where I am today. But at the time, it was just so difficult. And I didn't know if I was like, I think I should drop out. I should work for a little bit before I go back to college. And I had my friends and my family, there's a lot of stigma against that. And I was trying so hard. And at the end of the day, I pushed through the long nights, and I was able to graduate within a year late, but I did what I could. And
Yeah.
I think at this stage, like, I can just say that I'm proud of myself. And it's not easy to do. But at the end of the day, people who struggle like that, I mean, there are a lot of things that I wish I did differently. Like, I probably should have went to a community college first and then went into Maryland if that were my case. But it's because I had already started there. I didn't want to leave and come back, that kind of thing. So, but at the end of the day, when it feels like it's going to be over, it's just about pushing through and believing in yourself. And I think that's what it was at the end of the day for me. I just had to keep pushing and believing that I was more than what it was then, and better times will come.
Yes, and I always believe that better times will come as long as you think that way. If you think that your world is doom and gloom, well, I guess it's going to be doom and gloom. So yes, I know that a lot of times, in college, students feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I would have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs just to be paying for classes. I thought it was going to be how it is on TV. You
Right.
your dorm room and you're having parties all the time, and parents pay for things.
Like, I had to turn down so many friends. They always ask me to go here and go there. Oh, let's go to dinner. I can't afford this. I don't have time to do that. It sucked, but at the end of the day, like, it was worth it because I am where I am, and you can always party later. That's
Yeah.
something you can always do. That party never stops. It's just, focusing what you have to do now for yourself. It was best, and that's what I had to do.
Yes, and you spoke a little bit about you had at least a little bit of support, at least from your boyfriend's family, and it might not have necessarily been all the support that you needed per se, but a lot of times when it comes to us achieving our dreams or moving on to that next level, we do need support. None of us are able to really accomplish everything that we want to do just by ourselves, like an island unto ourselves. There comes people in our life that are able to provide some support, even if it's just in the way of words of encouragement. So can you talk a little bit about how someone can gain support if they're feeling like, oh my gosh, the world is caving in on me and I don't know how I'm going to make it, and my family and friends aren't there, and there are other people out there that could help them, but maybe they're feeling some resistance to reaching out for that support. Can you give some words of encouragement as to how people can gain support outside of their immediate circle if they're feeling like, I can't get from point A to point Z without some extra people involved?
Well, I think the first and foremost to like finding support or trying to get the support that you need, it's really starts with being open. Um, I know the biggest problem with me is obviously I'm a very strong and independent woman, or like to see in my eyes. So it's really easy for me to like deny help or like keep people from trying to, I don't know, like pity support me. And that was really hard for me to accept. But then I started to realize growing up that, I mean, we're all human. At the end of the day, no one's really meant to be alone, at least in my opinion. You're meant to have that system. You're supposed to have a system of support and love. And whether that's one person or two or 5 or 10, there's always that point in your life where you need that, and you need to be open to it, because there are a lot of independent people out there that may be a little bit stubborn like me and are like a little afraid to open up their arms to that. And I feel like there's actually great strength in getting that support. And obviously, I think it starts at home. If it's not coming from your parents, it's not coming from your siblings, then your friends and you're close. You're like, I don't care what people say. People say blood is thicker than water, but there are friends that can become your family,
Yeah.
and who will do above and beyond from what you ever even imagine that your family member might not, and being open to friends is one thing. And if there's a hard time there, if there's a barrier there and they're not really giving you the support that you need, the positivity you need, that this sounds counteractive, but I turn to social media, only because there are blogs, there are support systems out there that do support people in different aspects. Like there are a lot of strong women blogs, and even with you have your own platform that support women in trying to be successful in life, and there are a lot that exist. And even with like for social media, for example, with my Instagram, I have a small fan base, and there are times where I was feeling lonely and I wasn't feeling like my work was being recognized, or I felt like I was doing my work for no reason. And I had fans who would tell me like, no, keep going. If you ever feel lonely, I'll send you a care package. Like, just understand that we're all here supporting you. We love your work. And to me, that was like, even just those small, kind words, I didn't ask for, oh, send me the care package. I didn't wait for that. It was just more of like the fact that someone was willing to do that, or like put it out there and said that, like keep pushing. And someone I don't even know. It's someone who lives in Texas, and it's just someone who speaks through me, like through a like a simple direct message, really encourages me and knows that like what I'm doing is not like worthless. And
Right.
and that kind of support is like, as much as all the online bullying that people see, there are people on the internet that are very kind and that will be willing to support you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's such a wonderful experience to be able to reach out to someone on social media, like how we connected. Reach out to someone on social media.
Exactly.
And you get sometimes better support from a perfect stranger in another city, town, country, even.
Exactly.
From somebody that's known you for 30 years, So.
And I love that. Like on Instagram, like any social media, I'm sure you've scrolled across this. You'll come through a girl's random picture, and there are just like a bunch of comments from other women supporting them.
Yeah.
And I get this a lot on my pictures. It's like, oh, like girls that I never spoke to a day in my life will go on my picture and say, you're beautiful, you know, and it's just like this endless online support. And it's genuine. Like, no one wants to take the time to just say whatever and don't really mean it, you know,
Right.
at least in my opinion. And it's just, you're seeing this unending like support, and it exists, you know, and that's the thing, like it exists.
Yes, and I always tell people that if you don't want to use social media and you feel like, you know, there's nobody in your community, there are people in your community. You don't always know about all of the different meetup groups that are available in your community. I've gone online to look up meetup groups in my local city, and there are so many, and there's so much access to people that have very similar interests as you. You're not naturally going to know about it, because when you're traveling through your city, what you're thinking about is, let me go to the grocery store and get myself something for dinner. Let me go to my work environment because this is where I go to pay my bills. Let me go to my church because this is where I worship on Sundays. Or let me go to my best friend's house that lives down the street. You're not thinking outside of those very quick relationships. But there are so many people in your local city that you can connect with that you're just not fully aware of. So being able to sometimes go online and search for those meetup groups, I find is very key as well.
Yeah, Google is amazing. Google will find you those things in an instant.
Yeah, and a lot of times if you're hooking up with people that have very similar interests, you're naturally going to form a quicker bond. So you have things to talk about. Because I know that for some people, another thing is they feel like, well, I'm naturally shy. I don't naturally just talk to people. But when you're in the environment with people that all love to do whatever it is, you know, painting or basket weaving or gardening or whatever it is that you're meeting up to do, your conversation will flow because you have similar interests. So
Exactly.
I always tell people that there's always people out there to support you in this world. You just have to be comfortable with finding them.
Being open, like I said.
Yes, yes. Talk a little bit about how people can provide themselves with more self-care, because sometimes we are, you know, so busy and overwhelmed. Maybe we're stuck in traffic for a couple of hours a day. Maybe we take care of aging parents, or we take care of siblings, or we just take care of ourselves. And it's just so time consuming. At the end of the day, you're frustrated. You're frustrated from your boss, frustrated from your family members, you're frustrated just from the fact that I just sat in traffic for 2 hours. There's so many different things that kind of overwhelm and drain us. And we sometimes either don't feel like it, or we forget to provide ourselves with self-care and feed our spirit back. So can you talk a little bit about some self-care strategies that maybe you've used, and how beneficial it is knowing that when we do provide ourselves with self-care, we provide ourselves with more energy and vitality to actually carry out our dreams?
So this is actually my favorite topic. I'm a very strong believer in work hard, play hard. And at the end of the day, you're doing all this work for yourself, right? You're not doing it for anyone else. Like, at the end of the day, you want to do it for yourself. But when you're taking a toll on your body and on your mind from that work, that's when you have to restart your vessel. Your body is your vessel. Your well-being is the first thing that comes before anything else at the end of the day. I realized that a lot in college. I didn't take care of myself. And even when I was able to graduate and do what I need to do, I was so used to that mindset of like just working, that I forgot how to take care of myself. And I even stopped like going to the gym. I was a dancer in college. I had stopped doing all that, any dancing, working out, anything, taking care of myself. And I gained a lot of weight. I didn't have a lot of energy. I was really upset all the time. I was mentally exhausted. I never really took that time. And I actually started learning that that's what I needed. I needed that time to myself. And self-care can come from anything. It could be just simply going to the gym. That could be your self-care. That could be your mental reset, or anyone. For me, it is. I actually plan on going to the gym after this. It's like that mental space and time that, you know, it's working on your body physically. And I always get that natural energy, and I know that my body is changing. It's something that I personally can control in my life, and it makes me happy. Even eating well is a way of self-care. I know sometimes, you know, I believe in cheat days, cheat meals. You should have your sweets. You should have your junk food once in a while. Nutrition wise, it may not be the best for you, but at the same time, if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. And there's always a line. You don't want to overdo everything and anything. Even going to the gym, you don't want to overdo it. But self-care can come as little things too, as just like that. You mentioned traffic. That moment before you walk into your house and you sit in your car and you sigh and you think, and you just keep that little moment to yourself. People like me, I find that moment sacred. When I get home from work, I don't even go straight into my home because there's just a lot of things at home that I have to deal with as well. And I don't want to think about it. I sit in my car and I sit in that mental space and I relax and I listen to my music and I just breathe in and out deeply. Having that moment of meditation just helps me. And that's considered self-care. Self-care in any kind of way. Even if on Sundays, personally, I do this. Every Sunday I do sheet mask Sunday. So I love skincare. So what I do is that I just exfoliate my skin. It's literally just a 20-minute ritual. Like exfoliate my skin. I put on the sheet mask. I play on my phone. And when the sheet mask is finished, I take it off. I let it sink into my skin. And that was my moment of self-care. We all live busy lives. And even if you don't have all the time in the world, taking that 20 minutes in that car, 20 minutes in your bathroom doing the sheet mask is a routine of self-care. And everyone needs that once in a while. You can't be constantly only thinking about the rush and everything that you have to do. It's very important to take care of yourself.
Yes, and you're right. It doesn't need to be some planned activity that you spend money on and doing it for 3 hours. You talked about your, just few sacred moments in the car before you step into your home. Just that time where you can feel at peace and just a little bit more meaning can be provided into your life. And I always tell people, don't feel guilty also if, a day went by and that particular day, it was a rush day and you couldn't really provide yourself with a whole lot of self-care, or at least not in the way that you intended on it. Just know that it exists, that you're going to have days that are not the best, and then get right back on board. It's as simple as that. The more that you can infuse it into your life, the more when you don't do it, you're going to naturally just bounce right back to taking better care of yourself because you know the difference in how you feel. So I always say, don't beat yourself up. You can't cry with spilled milk. You can't change past. Just get right back on board from where you left off.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Rochelle. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that you shared today. All of you listening, if you feel like, she's, talking some great stuff, and I know that there's a support system out there for me, but I really haven't been able to connect with any ladies that are like either one of you talking to me right now. You can always join my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. That's a supportive community online that I have in place for ladies that are feeling like they just need one extra place where they can feel like they can turn to and go to and always receive encouragement. I am always about uplifting ladies and supporting them in their endeavors. I help people that are entrepreneurs and put the word out for their businesses, and people that feel stuck in their careers. They need someone to help propel them to the next level of their career and be doing something that's actually more aligned to who they are as a person and living their core life purpose. I love being able to give people free resources in that area. So any of you listening, if you feel like you're stuck in either one of those areas, let me know and I'll provide you with free resources as well for listening. Anyone out there that's also struggling with their general health, that is so key in us being able to live a life of purpose. And sometimes people don't necessarily see the relationship at first, but the better we treat ourselves and the healthier we are, the more energy and vitality we have toward living our core life purpose. So it's not one or the other. It's very much intertwined. And being able to see that relationship is what's going to separate the people from go about their dreams and get burnt out to the people that go about their dreams and they're feeling better and more vibrant about themselves and about their life, and then being able to serve more people. So I'd love to be able to provide you guys with support in that area too. Rochelle, can you just add on just a few words of encouragement for ladies that are listening that are like, you know what, you guys are saying some great stuff, but I really just feel stuck. I feel stuck with where I am right now. What is the very first step for me right now? What should I be doing right now so that I can finally get to the spot that you guys are saying is going to provide me with more meaning in life?
Well, I like lists. So what I do, or whenever I'm stuck, typically what I do is write a list of things that I need to get done. And when I see it on paper, I can visually see what it is I need and where I'm trying to reach. and you'll be able to logically pick out what's more important, what are you prioritizing, and how are you going to get there. And once you can pretty much just visually see everything, you can isolate the things that can, you can work on later on the side, and things that you need to work on now. And when you figure out those things, it's really just doing that first step. Like, the first step is always the hardest. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you haven't been to the gym in a long time, the first day is the hardest. It's actually literally just putting on your gym clothes and driving to that location and actually getting to the workout. And to me, it's once you get into that, like once you first get that first thing done, you'll feel great. You'll know, like, I did it. I did the first step. And at the end of the day, all you have to do is remember is making it into a habit, because habit is what changes you, what changes your progress. And once you get that habit going, then I'm sure you're going to reach your goals. And again, it's always just that first step. And if you have problems identifying it, make a list. Making a list always helps, and always just visually gives you an idea of where you're going and where you need to get.
Yeah, and it is really just about that first step. I feel like, sometimes we are like, oh gosh, this feels so comfortable right here. Let me just lay in my bed. But then after you actually do it, you're like, wow, that wasn't so bad.
It wasn't.
So yeah, just making that first step a lot of times is exactly what we need. And going back to what you said in the very beginning of this interview, having wisdom to know if that first step is something that's really good for you or if it's something that's harmful to you.
Exactly.
So I always say to people, just really, pray on it and really use some common sense sometimes. I think that, sometimes when we're too in our emotions, common sense can go out the window. And so you can make decisions that are actually more detrimental to you. So, but when you provide yourself with self-care, you have more clarity also. So your emotions are not overwhelming, or are not overwhelmingly pushing you in a certain way that's to your detriment. So I think that everything that you said today, it all ties in together. All of you listening, if you want to be able to also share your experiences with other ladies, maybe you have a different perspective. Maybe you've had some other challenges or some other successes that you want to share with ladies that are listening, please reach out to me. All of my contact info is in the description box, and the Nutrition for Busy Women group that I mentioned earlier. That's the link is also in the description box. I'd love for you to join us in one of our upcoming episodes, because I feel like we're all very similar. No matter where we are in this world, we're all very similar. We all have very similar needs. It's just in different areas of our lives, and we all have different goals, but we all need support. We all help each other in this world, right?
So, and Rochelle, people are on the lookout to me too. If you want to speak and ask any questions, I'm very open and friendly.
Yes, Rochelle, I was going to ask you, so what type of person would you find someone that would be able to collaborate with you in a way that you feel like, okay, we're in the same train of thought, like we're positive, like-minded individuals, we're both headed to something bigger and better, and that you would feel comfortable collaborating with? Because I'm sure ladies that are listening would love to get to know you a little bit better. But what's the best type of person that you're looking for to be able to collaborate with?
Well, I'm really open to a lot. I'm in a time of my life where I'm open to trying to get new business ideas, trying to get networking out there. So I'm really just open to any ideas and anyone that just wants to talk to. If you guys need advice, or if you want someone to talk to if my background resonates with you and you need a little help, I'm here. I don't mind opening up and helping other people. Just like you said, I love women supporting women, and that's what I'm out here to do as well. I also model on the side, so I'm looking for work there as well. So really, any kind of collaboration and any kind of ideas that women want to pitch to me, I'm open to. I'll do my best to help them out, and if you can help me, great. That's great too.
Awesome. And all her contact info is in the description box. So you guys can reach out to her, and feel free to share this content out. Maybe nothing that we said today can benefit you personally, but maybe you know people, maybe you have family or friends that you believe that something that we said today will be able to benefit them. So share this content out, and I'm sure that it'll inspire them to also live their dreams. Thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate you.
And thank you for your time.
You're welcome. All of you listening, I invite you to connect with me. And I always say to people, no matter where you are in the world, always remember to live a life full of meaning and purpose, no matter what you do. You guys have an awesome rest of the day, and I'll see you in our next episode.